All right, have 6 o'clock, call this meeting of Budget and Finance to order. Um, Everybody should have a copy of the March minutes. Please look over those, and if there are no additions or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to approve on those. All right, a motion by Mr. Ford, a second by Jeff Gregory. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right, moving to page 4 of your packet, purchasing review for a third quarter. And of course, this will be the five members of the purchasing Oversight Committee. That's Mr. Goley, Mr. Ford, Bubba Gregory, Will Dennis, and Beverly Atwood will review these. Oh, before I go any further too, been asked to read this, all committee chairman been asked to read this. All government documents and videos are uploaded to the county website, which is www.trousdalecountytn.gov. These include agendas, minutes, voting records, the county budget, and county audits, so the public is aware. Use your mic, please, Mr. Gully.
My bad.
That's
How
it.
far do we pre-purchase?
I was trying to turn mine off because I was.
Fuel, how far do we pre-purchase?
We put out a bid.
That's as far as we pre-purchase is 2 weeks. Okay. To me, this report looks pretty good, honestly, in the cost differences from the time of Q1 to now. I think it's staying well in line. I would make a motion to approve it as presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the purchasing tonight, second by Mr. Ford. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right, moving to page 6 of your packets, trustees' cash balances. And again, for just for those who may view this later, these are on county website. These are not county fund balances. These are cash balances, not what the county fund balance is. It's going.
And just a note, it's nice to see those CDs highlighted there. Thank you, Miss Amy, for highlighting those and bringing them clear.
Yeah, very much appreciate that. Are there any questions on the trustee balances? We have a motion by Mr. Ford to approve the trustee balances, a second by Bubba Gregory. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right, page 7 of your packets, the year-to-year comparison. Which property tax, of course, came in very strong, 104.9% of budgeted amount, compared to 102.1 last year. Revenues through March 26, 72.5%. Lower at 75% of the budget year, but when we get into the financial summaries, I think you'll see that that number, that 72.5 includes the grant stuff. When you don't count the grant, you'll see a much different number there. Expenses on the 101 of 59.4%. Again, well under the 75% threshold, so it's like we're in good shape on expenses. 111, kind of the same thing. The revenues, the revenue percentage looks low, but again, when you take the grants out, we'll see those numbers change significantly. Any questions in the year-to-year comparison? All right, seeing none. Page 8, 101 revenues. These be pages 8, 9, and 10 of your packets. Total revenues 72.5% at this through March 2026. When you don't count the grant line items, that number is 87.3% of revenues. I think the only two that really stood out to me, Miss Amy, and I don't know if you can answer these or not. 45,510 county clerk on page 9, and 45,540 general sessions court clerk. Both those are in the 50-something% range. Does anyone have any questions in the 101 revenues? Pages 10 and 11 with the 101 expenses, 59.4% through March 2026. So when you don't count the grant line items in, that is 65.1%. So again, still under the 75% threshold for 9 months into the fiscal year. Does anyone have any questions in the 101 revenues? All right, seeing none, page 12, the breakdown of the sheriff expenses in the 101. And most of these I think look to be in line. I think the only one, really, I think about the only one that's over the 75% threshold is the 187 overtime pay. It's at 83.7. I know we'd asked the sheriff about that previously. Last law, I would have to check the law enforcement minutes. If I remember correctly, I think last law enforcement meeting last month, he had said he had one waiting to go to the academy and would be fully staffed at that point. Now, of course, that was a month ago, so don't know if that has changed since then or not. Sure, law enforcement will ask that question at our meeting next week. Mr. Gully.
I mean, I think we're gonna get to this here in a little bit. There's a budget item adjustments. It's for overtime. I mean,
Yes.
we know there's an issue here in this piece. The sheriff continues to mention it's due to the fact that the sheriff's department is paid out of this overtime line item for their holiday pay. That's
Right.
been the statement he continues to make on that one the whole time, not due to lack of force on the sheriff's department side of things. So, I mean, that's been his statement each time.
Yeah, and the difference, the percent versus where it is versus the 75%, I think that gap is less than it has been in previous months. I believe. I'd have to go back and look. Does anyone have any questions in the sheriff's expenditures? All right, seeing none, page 13, 111. In total revenues, 30.3%. But when you take out the grant line items, of course, the biggest grant there is the Ward School, which is still ongoing. Revenue without that is at 83.6%, so ahead of where we would want to be. Total expenditures, 22.3%. Again, you take the grant line items out, and that number is 55.3%. Does anyone have any questions in the 111? All right, page 14, the Sheriff's Department expenditures from the 111. Again, the only one that looks like it's over is the overtime line item, but I believe there's like Mr. Gurley mentioned in the 101, I believe there's a budget amendment dealing with that as well. Are there any questions in the sheriff's 111 expenditures? Everybody's being quiet this evening. All right, page 15, 116, solid waste. Total revenues, 91%. Expenditures, 57.3%. It's like we're well under in the convenience center and the other waste disposal line items. Yes, are there any expenditures that we expect in either one of those two, Amy? Mhm. Does anybody have any questions in the 116? Seeing none, page 16, 118 ambulance service and total revenues, 82.3%. Expenditures, 66.7%. So look to be in pretty good overall shape there. Pages 7, sorry, Mr. Gully.
Just looking at 17 here, Miss Amy, on 17, 162 clerical personnel, that is at 99%. I didn't see a budget amendment in there for.
So last month, there was a budget amendment to remove the remaining amount because that was the billing clerk. It is now into a billing service, and I believe that was moved to 317 data process.
That was my next question. We moved that into a service, so there's no need in money. Perfect.
Just out of curiosity, along those lines, do we know how the billing service is working out so far? Okay. Hopefully we can ask Mr. Beatty that next week at first response. All right, so pages 17 and 18, the the 118 line by line expenses. Of course, Mr. Gurley mentioned the clerical personnel. Does anybody have any questions on any of the other line items?
Do we know what line item 336 entails?
Say again, Ms. Atwood, please.
Do we know what line item 336, the maintenance and repair service equipment? It looks like it's way over by about $1,100 and plus. Do we know what that is?
I think that would be a question to ask Mr. Beatty. Make a note to ask him that next week. And I guess along those lines too, the 338 is over by
Yes.
this amount as well. Are there any other questions in the 118 line by lines? All right, seeing none, page 19, 121 is the core civic fund. As we state each month, these are revenues that the state pays to us that we turn around and pay to core civic. It's pass through money. It shows on our books, but we don't get any real benefit from it. Page 20, 122, County Drug Fund. Again, this is really something that we don't do much with. It's only used as needed. And from the looks of expenditures, hasn't been needed a whole lot this year. Mr. Gully.
Just backing up, since budget time's heading our way, 121, you said it doesn't, it just shows on our books, and I agree with you 100%, but it doesn't just show in our books. As we've learned over the last 2 years, it also, if you go look up the county's revenues, it'll show in the county revenues as a revenue. As we're looking at budgets, we're not looking at over $100 million in revenues in the county coming our way. So just,
Yeah.
that's more of a statement for our public to make sure they understand this is not a revenue to the county. It is paid through the county to a private prison institute.
Yeah, you clarify that a lot better than I did. I appreciate that. Yes, we have. All right, pages 126, excuse me, pages 21 and 22, 127 and 128, our remaining ARPA funding. Both pages also contain a list of the allocated projects. Everyone should have an updated copy. Okay, excuse me. I was given an updated copy of the allocated projects in Fund 127. I pointed out to Miss Amy that the commission had voted last month to fund the $75,000 match grant application for the tennis pickleball court rebuilding, and that was not reflected anywhere in this. So that did come from 127. So that unallocated balance, which in your package says 97,731, should actually be 22,731. Again, we'll only expend that if we get that grant, and we won't know that till August, I believe. And of course, page 22, the 128, unallocated balance in that one, just over 311,000. And again, you have a list of the allocated projects that have been that funding has been used for over the years. It's like there's still a little bit in the generator for the admin building. Is there anything that I know that generator's in place? Is there anything? It's not completed yet. Okay. Thank you. And then of course we have the walking track redoing that is supposed to be done at some point this spring. Mr. Gully.
I just heard the generator is not completed, so is the building not on generator power still?
No. Mayor, are you able to speak to that at all?
I don't think generators is hooked up, is it? It's set. The last report I got was that it was not generating.
Okay. Thanks, sir. All right, Mr. Taylor. Would you come on, Mike, please, sir?
Good evening. I spoke to Josh Mink at the end of the week. The part that he had ordered that there was on back order that just kept getting into perpetual back order so they could bring it online actually was expected to be in, I think, like Friday. And he was going to get it on the schedule to come over because I did ask him about it at the end of last week.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for clarifying that, sir. Appreciate it. All right, are there any other questions in the ARPA funding? Page 23, 151 debt service. Revenues at 78.0%. Looks like the biggest ones that are Well, the only ones that are short there is business tax, which I think comes in later in May. Investment income down a little bit, but 67.6%. Total expenditures, 46.0%. But again, several of these will have expenditures in May. So 2 months from now, we'll see that bump up considerably. Are there any questions in the 151 debt service? Mr. Ford?
The debt that we got showing here, Amy, what is the longest one out? How far out?
I think our last one is 2037.
20, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I think our last one is paid off in 2037.
2037.
37.
I think that was the Justice Center, wasn't it?
I want to say yes, but I don't have that in front of me.
I'm thinking I remember that being the case, but I could be wrong. All right, are there any other questions in the 151? All right, page 24, 171, capital projects. And you see what's come in over the course of the year, the core civic administrative fee they pay each year, the increase in the impact fee that the commission put in place earlier this year. Of course, you have the balance in there. Of course, bear in mind that 2 million of that it is in CDs, and so we could access it if we needed to, but it's technically tied up. And just for those who may watch this later, who may ask about that, this committee voted to put, it was 500,000 on a 6-month CD, 500,000 on a 1-year CD, and 1 million on a 2-year CD. And that was so we could draw interest off those as opposed to letting it sit in a bank account. Any questions in the 171? All right, page 25, 131 highway fund. Of course, Mr. Gully, I'm sorry.
Not a question, but a statement. One goal behind that, I think Mr. Ford was leading towards this a minute ago, was Mr. Ford has a smart view of wanting to pay off debt. I agree with him 100%, but the note that we consolidated to had a no call 5-year. In 2 years, that no call would be up. So that $1 million that is in there could go directly towards debt. And it's earning 3.75, I believe. So a little less than the fixed rate at 1.12. However, that 1.12 could not be paid until any extra on it until the no call date has finalized, which was 5 years from the onset of that note. So there was a goal for that 2 million there originally, even though we only put it on a 6-month and a 1 year and then a 2-year note. At 2 years, that $2 million could do a whole lot of that loan was the goal behind that piece. So hopefully this committee, I will be gone from this committee by that time, chooses to put that money back into CDs and let that pay off, if you wish to, that note in the future.
Thank you, sir. Okay, anyway, like I'm saying, in 131, of course, the only revenue they get from us is a property tax, which they receive just a little over $120,000 in the current fiscal year. Everything else is state, I believe. Mr. Gully.
I think I missed last month, but I know I'd asked the month before, what is our maintenance of effort on this one? Do we have to give that? Did we get an answer on that?
Yeah.
I'll have to review that calculation. It's a 5-year average, if I remember correctly, for the highway fund. So it's completely different than what the Board of Education does, but I will look that up and send it out.
If memory serves, I believe your question was, does it have to be, was it dollar for dollar, or was it the percent of, or the cent of property tax? Am I remembering that correctly?
We were just giving the same cents every year is what we were doing, the same number of cents
Right.
out of that property tax, which means it's going to continue to increase since our property tax is increasing.
Right, yeah, but I believe.
And I think there has to be an amount of increase in that piece. There has to be an average amount of increase that goes along. So it may be set correctly.
Okay. All right, are there any other questions in the 131? All right, page 26, 141, general purpose schools. And you'll see their revenues at 86.4%. Their expenditures at 63.6, so they look to be in pretty good shape, and appreciate the school system getting us the expenditure numbers. That hasn't always been on there, I don't believe. But again, we just review the revenues. Are there any questions in the 141?
Motion to approve the financial statements.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Overman to approve the financial statements. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Atwood. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right, moving into budget amendments, beginning on page 27. And I'll go through each of these, then we can decide what to do with them. 10113 GR Senior Center, $30,000 in total. This is a $20,000 pull from the Senior Center's reserve account to update the kitchen area as part of an upcoming nutrition program for senior citizens. And the other 10,000 is a donation from Enbridge to, towards said program. Page 28, 10114G. It's a library grant, technology grant from the State Library and Archives. 50-50 match. The county match will come from the library reserves. $3,400. This will purchase 2 desktop computers with monitors and software for the library. Page 29, 10115G. Homeland Security Grant Program. This is grant funding received through Homeland Security. It will be used by the rescue squad to purchase radios and pagers, $23,316, and there is no county match required on this one. Page 30, 10116 Brownfields, and this is a grant, Brownfields assessment grant, no county match required, $100,000. Will be used to assess 2 properties, train depot and the PEDS building. Mr. Mayor, can you kind of explain what the purpose of the Brownfield grant is, please, sir?
That's the second stage of the Brownfield grant. The first was identification and the second was evaluation, and they're evaluating the depot and what we've come to know as the PED building, the building on the river. And they're kind of winding that down, but they've been in and investigated both buildings and are going to give an assessment of what needs to be done to those buildings to bring them up to speed. And the next grant would be a $500,000 grant. That would be the third phase, but we have to go through the first and second phases before we get there. That was non-matching, by the way.
Thank you, sir. All right, page 31, 10117. These are end of year adjustment line items in the 101, 74,510. Of course, these are all internal transfers of funds already allocated. Coming from unemployment compensation, courtroom security deputies, animal shelter building maintenance, food and supplies. It's like a lot of it is going toward overtime, social security, retirement, and Medicare expenditures in various line items. And then the last one, page 32, 11102. Again, this is end of year line item adjustments, $17,068 within the sheriff's budget. And this is again toward overtime, social security, state retirement, and Medicare. Does anyone have any questions on any of the budget amendments? That would be the next step. All right, have a motion to approve all. I have a motion to approve all budget amendments by Mr. Ford, second by Jeff Gregory. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, these are all sent to County Commission with favorable recommendation. All right, next item on the agenda, discussion items. Item A, emergency tower funding. Of course, this came from the Sheriff's Department. They are wanting to put a radio tower out in the Gravel Hill area to help with radio coverage on the western end of the county, especially on 231, where there are times now they lack radio contact almost entirely with dispatch. Steering committee discussed this earlier this month. Of course, it is set to go out to bid in May, I believe, Amy. But by the time we get bid back and openings, any expenditures would come in the 26-27 budget. So we will discuss that during budget hearings. The estimated cost on that was around $400,000. Of course, we'll see what bids come in at, but that remaining ARPA would go a long way toward that. Are there any questions on the radio tower? Yeah, Mr. Bella has something he wants to speak to this.
Here recently, came across my desk, just by happenstance, there's a lease agreement that was proposed by the state of Tennessee, and there were the Department of Safety and Homeland Security. It's for the Tennessee Advanced Communications Network, which is to be a statewide network. Currently, they have received more funding in order to expand their range and capacity for cell towers. And so what they do studies, you know, where's the best location, the highest point, the hill, the best place for, and their engineers have identified and surveyor identified a piece of property belonging to the county on up on Morrison Street. And apparently they've identified that it's owned by the county, and what they've done is they've put forth a lease agreement. And part of that lease agreement was for the construction of all things a cell tower. I had a conversation with Casey Goggin, on their legal counsel today, about the terms that were being proposed from the lease agreement. It's a 45-year term. They said that's negotiable. That's just somewhat standard. And I basically asked on behalf of Hartsville Travelers County, what are we getting out of it? And you know, just see what she said. She said, well, you get increased service capacity for Tennessee Highway Patrol, TBI, I think the state agents. I said, well, what about local? What about local? And she advised that, well, we do have a user agreement, which way I understood, and she forwarded a user agreement as 459, and I haven't had a chance to print it or even look at it. But the user agreement would be for us to be able to use that tower. And so they're planning on building one. They want us to enter into a lease agreement. And so I want to throw that out there. It's kind of food for thought because of that very issue with the bill that we're looking at potentially.
I don't know anything about whether or not our system would be cohesive with theirs. That's somebody else's department, but it's worth asking the question. And certainly, they seemed like they were very amenable to working with us through their legal department. They said, I asked her, well, what's your time frame on this? And she said, we really need to know something before the end of August. That's what our engineers, of course, if not, then they'll probably look for something, another location is probably what my guess would be. So just want to throw that out there for food for thought.
Send that information to Miss Amy. I guess Amy can send it to the members of Law Enforcement Committee. And I guess, do you think First Response would want to review that as well, or just law enforcement?
I think I'm not sure how this lease agreement all came about. They probably, if I had to guess, they probably reached out to Director Beatty would be my guess. Of course, those lease agreements have to be reviewed by administration and commission and whatnot. And so it ultimately wound up on my desk, conversations behind it, but it's something worth asking at that next committee meeting to kind of flesh that out a little bit.
Okay, yeah, law enforcement is scheduled to meet next Monday at 5:30. So get that to Miss Amy if you would, and Amy, if you'll send that to the Law Enforcement Committee members and get that, let Chairman Russell get that on the agenda. Appreciate that. And thank you for that info. All right, item B, 2027 budget. First part, approve local revenues for Fund 141. Page 33, last page of your packet, you will have a proposed local funds for the school system. You'll see the estimate on the value of 1 cent of property tax is up from 36,529 in the current year to an estimated 37,895. Of course, that, Amy, I assume that's not final yet. Okay. You'll see a little bit of increase in the dollar for dollar property tax amount, but that's based on the increase in the penny value. The penny value will remain the same at 50.7 cents of property tax. Other numbers look to be mostly in line. Looks like there's a little drop in the TVA in lieu of taxes payment. $25,000 drop from what was estimated this year versus the proposed. Local option sales tax, 1.2 million, which I believe is where we set it this year. You'll see the estimate for 25-26 is a little over 1.9 million. I had asked Ms. Amy about that, and Enbridge bought a lot of pipeline for what they are building, and so they had to pay sales tax on that. So that's a one-time influx. We will not see that again. And I also inquired, and as I understand, that does not count toward our maintenance of effort. That one-time influx does not count toward our maintenance of effort. Are there any questions on the proposed school funding? Motion to approve by Ms. Overman, second by Ms. Atwood. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Thank you. Last item, budget hearings. Do not have the proposed budget yet for 26-27. I believe Amy is hoping to have that out this week. As soon as I get that, we'll set budget hearings. But I would say keep the first week of May open. I believe starting Monday is, that Monday will be May 4th. I would say we will probably get started that week. And again, as soon as I have a proposed budget, I will set hearing dates and let everyone know. And of course, this year, all members of the county commission are asked to attend and participate in budget hearings. I have said, and I'll say before, I want to get the heavy lifting out of the way first. The sheriff's department will probably be one that will take some looking at. I know the sheriff is asking for another substantial increase in this year's budget. So sheriff and schools, I will probably do fairly early on in the process.
School stated the other night in their meeting, they were asking for no new money, so
Right.
should be
Just-
a pretty simple budget there.
Yeah, I would think so.
You mentioned the sheriff's department is asking for a large amount. What's the ask?
He has told law enforcement he intends to ask for a 10% increase. Now, I don't know what he sent to Miss Amy, but I'm assuming that was probably along those lines. So we will have some discussions. Past that, are there any questions related to budget hearings? Say again, sir? Oh, yes, yes. All budget hearings will be held here in the courtroom. Yes. Alrighty, and see are there any items anyone on budget committee wants to bring up? All right, seeing none, go to public comment. A few members of the public here. Does anyone wish to speak to anything to budget and finance? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Adjourned by Mr. Ford. Is there a second? By Ms. Atwood. We are adjourned. Thank y'all.